Okay, so in this video we're going to take the graphics we did in the last video and we're going to add it to our new theme, and then we're going to customize the layout of the different elements, and then we're going to create our WordPress theme from that. Okay, so if we start with a blank theme here, okay, and then what we want to do, let's start with the background. So if we click on the background tab here and click from File, Browse, and this is the folder where my background is kept, and this is the one we did. So if I click Open, now you see here we've got positional options: top left, top center and tile. We want top center because it'll just center the image on the page, which is exactly what we want, and then click OK. Okay, so already now we've got our background and we've got the main section that we'll be using. Next thing we want to do is I want to adjust the width of the sheet. So if I click Sheet and Width, at the moment it's set to 800 pixels. I think what we'll do is we'll quickly set it to 9. Okay, and the next thing we'll do is we'll set the height of our header. So if I click the header tab, and let's check where it is. Now at the moment it's inside the sheet, so if you, that would be fine if you wanted your header to be part of your sheet, or you were happy for that position essentially. For this we will want it outside the sheet. And then I think what we'll do is we'll change the height, and I think we set it to about 300 pixels before, and the length will make the page width. Okay, and what we'll do is we'll change that, so it's gone white, we'll change that to transparency. There we go, and then we'll get our image. So if we click background image from File, now there's actually two ways that you can do this, because you've got two options here. You can set it as a background image, or you can set it as an image overlaying. I'll show you both, and it really just depends what way you want it to work for you. So if I click from File here and Browse, new website here, we'll go with that one. There we go. So that's set it as a background image in the header, so we can actually overlay another image on top of that if we wanted to. If I just move this site title out of the way here, because we've got the slogan here, we won't actually really need that at all. So what was I saying? Yes, so if we want to do, if I just click image and select it to this person here, there you go, you can see that that's there. I could overlay more images on top of that if we wanted to, so just delete that off just now. Okay, so we've now got our header image. Again, let's say the other way we could do it, if I just change that to no image, and we'll change the fill color to transparency again. Hang on, there we go, no photo. Oh, of course it's acting up on me now. There we go. So just change the transparency to 100% there. If I clicked image there, I could actually take that image there, and then what I can do is I can position it myself, whereas the last one just positioned it for me. Because this is more of an overlay of an image, I can position that myself. So it's really just deciding what's best for you. What you can also do, if I go here, if we wanted to, we could make the height bigger. I'll just undo that and just position that there. Now the only real sort of challenge with this particular site is going to be getting the tabs here to go in line with these tabs here. So that will take a wee bit of kind of playing about essentially. So let's do that now. So if we go to menu, and if we go to item and align it to the left here. Okay, and we can see here the menu length is set to sheet width, which is what we want because we want it in line with the sheet. But the position is inside the header, which again we want. So let's have a look now. If we take the item and make a classic shape, and don't worry about that just now because we'll be changing that in a minute, and make the size the largest size. And if I take this image, I can just line that up slightly. You see that? Okay. And major area. There we go, that's made that transparent. Good. And then what we'll do is we will, if we go to the item, let's see now. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to kind of separate these out a bit to fit in here. So what I did was I have just made the text a bit bigger, so I just went to item and I went to text and I made the size 16 just to get a better look at it. And what I need to do here is we've set the shape to this classic, but it's actually joined. We need a more of a tabbed, so I click on that. There we go, and if we take this menu area, we get 100% transparent again. There we go. And then what we want to do is we want to increase the distance between each of the tabs. So if we set that to the maximum of 8 pixels at the minute. Okay, it's not really done much, but if I go here again, I can select more distances. And if I do that, you can see that it's starting to move along. And if I just keep going till I'm happy. Okay, right, there we go, that's it, just in line there. So if I take away the colouring, and make that transparent. There we go. So we've got two that is in line with the tabs, and what we'll just quickly do, I can close that down, is we will just, it's a little bit low on that, so I just want to move that up. So if we change the margin, there we go, that's just moved it up ever so slightly, which is what we want. And then if we put in some more pages, we can see that these new pages are now in line with the tabs. And let's check the last one. Oh, what's happened there? Oh, I need to just reduce the text size. Reduce that for 14. There we go. And let's see if we can just adjust that slightly. So see, this is the bit that takes the most kind of messing around, just trying to get things aligned correctly, till you're happy with it, and then you'll know if it doesn't work the way you want to do, then you maybe need to rethink it slightly. So let's see what we can do. Okay, so what I've done is I've sort of played around with the alignment of the tabs, and trying to sort of work out the best way so they sit within these tabs and the background image. And I also moved the header about because it was a kind of overlaid image. I could do that, which was quite handy. So that's about as good as I'm going to get it at the moment. And what we'll do now, just so we can actually see the text, go to menu, go to item, actually go there, and text color we'll make black. Okay, and for the passive ones, again text color black. There we go, and now we can see each of those. And I think what we'll do is we'll change the fill colour. We don't want that, so that, there we go, and you can just click on it. Okay, that's alright, so that looks not too bad. And then I think what we'll do is we will change the font family, maybe to Courier New. Okay, and then as we'll just adjust this ever so slightly, and if we take away the separators, so if we go to menu, separators are a faint separator. If I take that away, you won't be able to see that. Okay, so it's not too bad. Once I get it transferred into an actual theme, we'll see what it looks like. It may very well be that it just doesn't work, and I may need to change this sort of menu area slightly, just make it maybe something that's more solid. Instead of these tabs, maybe make it a solid sheet of kind of ripped paper or something like that. But see, this is just one of the things that happens when you're designing a site. You have an idea and you try and see it if you can get it to work. So we'll see how that looks when we actually create a site, create a theme and create the page headers, and we'll take it from there. Okay, so now that we've got that, and we're relatively happy with that, because we know it's not going to be any more than 6 pages. The next thing to do is to sort out our layout. Now, I think, as I said before in one of the previous videos, that Artisteer's new feature is that, or one of their new features is that you can actually create content in Artisteer and export that to the theme. So you actually use Artisteer like you can just do everything in Artist here. You can write all your content, add all your content, add all your pictures, images, pages, the full lot, and then just export the complete package and upload it to your site, and everything's there ready. It's not my favourite way of doing things. I prefer just to do the design in Artist here because that's what it was designed to do, and then add the content separately once the theme's uploaded to WordPress, because then I know that when I lay it out in WordPress I'll be happy with it and I can work with the plugins. Because you're designing it, adding content here, you don't know what effect adding certain plugins would do to that and how it would muck it up potentially. So I prefer just to create the site design in Artist here and then export the template and then add the content to my test site on my local host. Okay, so one other thing I just need to make you aware of as well. If you notice here, when I scroll, the sheet moves and the header moves but the background doesn't. So if we go here and we go to options, you'll see you've got the option here for fixed or for scroll. If I had a non sort of image background, if it was a plain background, or it had for example like a texture from Artist here itself, then I could make a scrolling background, because Artist would just keep adding the background sort of effect all the way down. Because it's an image, the image is only a certain height. So if I click in here and if I return down quite a few times, you can see here that's where the original image ends, and it won't keep tiling down. To be honest with you, it would look strange anyway. If we did, it just wouldn't look right. So what we can do, as I say, is anytime there's a more of an image background, then we set the background effect to the option to fixed, and then that way the background will stay in place and it's just the content that scrolls with the header, which is absolutely fine. Let's say that's what we wanted. Okay, so we've got that now. We've got our header, the site title. I'm going to remove that, so I'll just delete that there, because we've got our logo here and we've got our tabs here, which is fine. So the next thing really is to decide on the layout of the content. So here what we do is we go to let's see, layout, and the first thing to do is decide, we've decided on our sheet width, which we said was 900 pixels. If we wanted to, we could make it 1000, or for example if we wanted to, we could make it 950. And do that. If we wanted it slightly bigger, obviously any changes you make will have an effect on the other work you've done. For example, menu area here that we spent so long fixing, but it's just something that you can do if you wish. Actually, that 950 is not too bad. I think I'll just leave it at that. Yeah, so layout. So if we go to layout and decide columns, so you've got 1 column, 2 column, or 3 columns. I'm going to stick with the 2 column, and I'm going to stick with the column on the sidebar on the left, because I know the customer likes that kind of layout. In terms of column width, I want to make it slightly wider. I want to make the sidebar slightly wider, so I'll make it 250. And in terms of column styling, let's see, first of all I don't want this kind of dotted separator. I want to get rid of that. And let's see how it looks with a style put into it. Well, the white is quite harsh, so what I may do is, because it might be nice to actually see a separation there, but again that can easily be altered if the client doesn't like it. What I might do is, if I go to column style and go to the fill color and take a kind of color from here, see what that looks like. don't like that. What about this? It's not bad. What I might do is I can take the fill color and I can change the transparency of it. So see there, I've taken that down and I've created a kind of semi-transparent background there. And we'll see how that looks when we export it and create our theme. What else can we do? In terms of the sheet itself, the sheet, as they we've got that set to a width, but the content within the sheet we can actually style as well. So we can change margins here and the paddings. Give it 3 pixels worth of padding. Yeah, it's not bad. Let's see what the margin's like here. Yeah, we'll keep that as that. That's quite good. And see, these are just little changes that you can make as you see fit. I'm quite happy with that kind of layout and that kind of style. At the moment, as this is a first draft site essentially, I'm more interested in the design of it to begin with, and all these other things can be changed very, very easily. What I might do is I might quickly change the fonts. Let's see, set simple. Let's see what the Georgia does. Yeah, I quite like that, so change that, and I quite like to make the font slightly bigger as well, so I always put it up to 110 just to make things a little bit easier for viewing the site. And that's actually had a nice effect as well on our menu bar, which was quite good. So let's say at the moment it's just got this basic content within it, so once we start to add actual content that the customer wants and style the layout, then we'll get a better idea of what it will look like. What we can also do to give ourselves an idea is if we go to content, let's say edit, sorry, and click within, we have this option here, content layout. Now say I don't export the content from Artsphere to the theme, but I can use this if I want to come up with different layouts, so that I can get a feel for how I want it laid out for the homepage. This is mainly for the homepage. The homepage is the one page that you normally want to look different from all the other pages. The other pages, like the about page and the contact us page, they're normally very simple laid out. They don't need to be too fancy or what have you. Whereas the homepage normally, sometimes you want columns put in and what have you. So if you want, you can select. At the moment I think it's set. We've got a column section up here, and then we've got a 2-column section here as well. If you wanted to, you could change that to 3 columns. So you can see we'd have 3 sections here. What I'll do is I'll just so if there was 3 separate things that you wanted to talk about, you know, maybe the top section is a kind of maybe a sliding gallery or an about us section, and then you want 3 separate things here with a kind of more button in each one, then you could certainly do that. I think what we'll do is we'll go to layout and we'll just change our column width down to 225. There we go. Yeah, as I say, you could certainly do that if that's what you wanted. If we wanted to, we could click into one section here and click into, where is it now? There we go, controls. We can add a control button here, and then you just give it text, so let's say something like more info, and then the link to where you wanted it to go, and click OK, and that adds a control button in the bottom here. And we can style this as well, so if we click here and see where it says controls, no, that's not it, there's the controls tab there, sorry, where it says controls, you can change the colour of the button. Say we wanted it orange, we could do that. We can change the gradient, let's add the gradient there, and then say we wanted to add a border and a shadow, we can do that as well. So there's lots of different options that we can do, that we can style the layout of our content, and to say it's really just finding the layout that you like the most and discussing it with your client. So once you've got your background added, you've got your header added, you're happy with your navigation as well, and you've decided on a rough layout, and so you'll need to discuss that with your client, which way you wanted to lay it out. But I'll show you how to set up this kind of layout in WordPress itself rather than doing it kind of here, because we won't be exporting the content. The only other thing you might want to think about as well is these sidebars and what's added to them. If you go to the blocks here, you can adjust the styling of the blocks if you wish. You can choose different styling options, like that, and you can curve it, you can create different spaces, you can add different colours to the background if you wanted to. So you can do all sorts like that. But for this we're going to keep it nice and simple, so I'll just quickly undo that. Because there's only going to be a couple of kind of banner images that are going to go at the sidebar anyway. There's not going to be a great deal of information on the sidebar, and probably a few links, but that's about it, because it is a simple site that we're creating. Okay, so we've created the design, we've played around with the sort of layout and content. I say the best thing you can do is literally just play around with the different options, decide on the widths, where the images go. There's so many options with Artist there that we could be here for weeks going over them all, and really the best thing you can do is just have a play about with it yourself, and discuss with your client the types of things that they like. A lot of times when the local clients will be laid by yourself anyway, and you'll find sort of certain layouts that you prefer and that you know look good. So that's it for this video. The next thing that we want to do, now that we've created the site and we're relatively happy with it, the next thing to do is to export it to a theme, and then we can get it tested essentially. So the way to export it is go to File, Export WordPress Theme, okay, and you need to give it a name, obviously. So we'll call this choose a location to save it, zip the file because you'll be uploading it to WordPress. And the next one, if you were creating the content in Artsteer and you wanted that uploaded as well, you click this include content option. If not, leave that unclicked. Then you want to select this options tab, okay, and these are the options I always use when it comes to says WordPress. Show home item, yes. Item caption, home. Footnote, this I take off because I don't want a link back to the author and don't want a link back to Artsteer. No watermark. Description, I normally just leave blank. You can always put your name or your company name in there, and a URL to your company or to your business website. CSS options will leave them blank, and the general options are fine as well. And then click OK. And what Artisteer does now is it goes, oh sorry, I clicked OK, I just need to click export now, sorry. And what Artisteer does now is it goes and it codes the theme for you. So it takes your design, all the options that you've set, and it goes and it codes the theme for you. It does all the creation of the templates, the PHP files, the header templates, footer templates, all the rest of it. It does all that for you. One thing I forgot to mention as well, sorry, the footer at the bottom here, there's these links. I normally just delete them, because once you've uploaded the theme, you have an option within the theme that you can add your own content to the footer as well. So if you want to add links back to your business website, or if you want to add text and what have you, then you can do that in the theme options itself. The theme that Artisteer generates is very good, because not only do you have this layout here, but it also creates lots of widgetized areas built into the theme. So you'll have 2 widgetized areas for the top part of the content, you have 2 widgetized areas for the bottom, and 4 footer widgets all coded into the site as well that you can make use of if you wish, as well as obviously your sidebar for any other widgets. So that is it for this video. So as I say, we created a design in GIMP, put it into Artisteer, played around with some of the settings till we had the design we're happy with, and then we've exported that to a WordPress theme. And now, with absolutely no coding on our part, no HTML messing around or PHP or any of that nonsense, we've now created a custom WordPress theme for our clients. Okay, so in the next video I'll take you through the process of adding that theme to WordPress.